Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are. It's Alex, and we're getting into the next part of our live stream here. I'm looking forward to today. It's going to be another long one, so buckle up. How we doing? Good morning, Riley. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Feeling a little sick. Haven't been a little under the weather the last few days, but it's okay. I'm getting there. Uh, all right. Just gonna give it just a moment here to get booted up. Everything else is squared away. Let me just make my little day plan here. Let me overview what we're going to be doing. So we need to start working on the map. So we need to get all the textures uploaded today. So that's good. Maybe we'll do textures, climbables, maybe all right. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so let's review where we are and what we're going to do next. Move this over. All right, let me go ahead and bump this over to our game scene. Now, when we last were working on this, we sort of I'll turn on the sound here so you can hear it as well. We were able to get our movement scripts in order. Get our coins to spawn. And we got our basic movement controller in place. So, I think that the next big part for us to do is, of course, to add a little bit of variation to our game and kind of level that up. So, I'm going to start by removing the blocks and a few other things that are in the way right now. I think, let me give you a second here. All right, so I think the first thing we should do before we go too far here is go to our instance list and let's lock our grassland parallax. The same thing that we did previously by going into our instances and locking it like we did with our camera. So that way we don't accidentally click on it while we're working here. For now, I'm actually going to move the debug text over here and lower it down to like 16 maybe. It's probably going to get really distorted, but that's okay. It's just really big right now and I don't want it. Okay, let's move it over here. Alright, we're actually going to change it to 16 as well. There we go. Do it in line like this for now. Alright. Now we're going to get rid of our block list and start working towards building our map. So, unfortunately, the map building part is probably one of, at least preparing it, is probably one of the more boring things that you'll do. in terms of making your game work and following along in this tutorial. So just kind of buckle in here. It's just going to be a lot of repetitive adding, but we'll get through it together. So what I like to do is in my collision section, in my tile set, what I want to do is add some organization here first. So we're going to start adding a couple of folders. We're going to go that inside of tile set. We're going to name the first one grasslands, just in case we want to build, use the same template or something, or layout of our scene objects in other scenes, other levels. Maybe we want to blend levels together, use multiple tile sets, I'm not sure. But we're going to make grasslands. We're going to add a couple of folders inside of that. Okay, come on. The first folder we're going to call... let's see here. I'm trying to think in my head what I want to call these. Let's do... repeatable tiles. Let's do corners. Let's do slopes. And that'll be good for now. So this is the grass soil top is a repeatable. So we're going to move that into the repeatable tile section. And we're going to start. Can you not do that, Doug, please? Thank you. You guys can probably hear him. But he like walked up right next to me and rubbed my elbow with his nose. Appreciate it. Thank you. Love you. You're a dog. Head pats. All right. So we have a repeatable tile, and unfortunately, so all the middle tiles in our game, we're gonna have to build them as individual objects. So in other cases, I like to combine things together to make one sprite object that contains multiple different skins. But in this particular case, for anything that repeats itself in a tileable way, like this, has to be done as an individual object. So here we go. We could, if we wanted to, just duplicate the soil top, double click on it, and then replace, choose from our files. And now we've got to go back to our game files, tile set, and we can start with the tops. Now, actually, I'm going to spend a brief moment here, and I'm going to organize this just a little bit. I went a little haphazard when I was throwing these together, so let me fix them. We're going to take the tops, and we're going to cut those ones out, and we're going to move them into middles. And, you know, maybe people want them organized like that. Maybe it makes sense. In my brain, it doesn't, but I can make like repeatables, but maybe this is for the best. I'm not going to overthink that. I'm just going to leave it there. And now we have a grass to dirt top, and one's soil and one's dirt. So this one will be dirt top. We'll just hit apply. And now if we brought that in, we'd have the next style. So maybe we want to flop that out and put this in there instead, if that's your fancy. Let's add some more repeatable tiles, and we'll just duplicate this again. Go into it, replace, files, and let's go into the actual middles. That's probably a good idea. So we're going to call this soil middle. And the reason is that, and just so you guys know, there isn't a way for us to add animations to a tiled sprite. And that's why we have to upload them individually, just in case you were wondering why we have to do it this way. just going to keep duplicating. This makes it is the least amount of clicks as possible. And now the sides. So sides are the other repeatables that we would want to do. We just got to consider which ones we want now and or if we wanted to just dump them all in there later. But let's go to... We'll do the soil first. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it. And there we go. And these are going to be our edges in our map. Anytime something rounds over and finishes, we'll need to add one of these corners or ledges. So we're just going to keep... Excuse me. Well, I guess I could not be lazy. Let's see, grass to dirt. So we're going to do dirt, dirt. And actually, we're just going to call this dirt. And we're going to call this one grass. Or sorry, soil, rather. Put that in there. That in there. Put that in there. This is going to make it nice and clean so we know exactly where we're grabbing things from the tile set. And when we're all done, for those that are interested, this will be available as an entire template. So if you want to see exactly what I did, by the end of this entire course, there'll be a downloadable into the very first of the series. So let's keep moving here. Let's make sure we get all of our soil done first. Let's see, place, files for my device. Yeah, we're gonna need all of these, so I guess we're just gonna keep going. This is a lot of repetitive, so stick with it. You'll get it done. It's like one of the most tedious things that you'll do in Gdevelop because of the lack of tile set options for building your maps and importing tile sets, but that's okay. Just keep going here. We're almost done. All right. Perfect. So now we have basically all of the soil repeatables done. And so we're going to move over into the rest of these. Ah, thanks, man. Feeling a little bit better today. How you doing, Clayton? Let's see here. Now let's do our corners. So now our corners are going to be one of the ones that's just a regular sprite, because normally, right, we'd have to otherwise make a bunch of individual objects to do this, but corners aren't scalable. They're not repeatable textures. So we can just do corners, corner list, corner grassland corners. We're going to add an animation. We're going to start with default. Oh no, actually we can't start with a default because there isn't such a thing as a default left or right. So we're going to just boot back open our thing here. We're going to go into corners, and we're going to start by grabbing all of the soil corners. So fun. Let's do that. We'll start with the top left corner. And we're going to do soil top left. Add a new one. Soil top right. Add the sprite. Now we just got to make sure we grab the right one. And we're going to do a complete circle first. And then we're going to add in the extra bits that would go in between, or the transitions, the other alternate transitions. So let's just keep going here. It's going to take a minute. I think what I'm going to do instead is add everything, and then how many of those did I add? Did I add the bottom right one? I don't think so. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Just gonna keep adding them. I'll name them later. It's just gonna take me a second if I take all that time. All right. And it's just gonna add a bunch more animation, so I don't have to keep clicking on this. Scroll back up. Go to add another sprite. Now let's do this one. I like doing, it just takes me a second longer because I like to do them left corner, right corner, bottom right, bottom left. And that way, as I rotate through all of my textures, I know that like number 4 and number 8 are going to, or number 3 and number 5. Or 6 rather. So it's like, I forget because it's 0, 1, 2, right? Yeah. So number 4 and number 0 are going to always be the same corner. So I can just do the math like that for each set, and that's why I'm doing it this way. It might, for you, you're like, why is he arbitrarily just selecting whatever corner he wants? You can do it any way you want. By the way, there isn't like a special way that you have to do this. I just have a method to my own madness, all right? So don't stress that out, guys. Do it your way. And now we got to do little ones. But these are more of the okay, these corners are actually for slopes or alternates. I'll explain that here in a minute and how those textures work. All right, we can get rid of the rest of these for now. Or I'll leave them because we're not going to use them quite yet, but we'll add the rest in a moment. So now, if I was to use my repeatable, we could go to our soil and grab our top. Let's get that stretched out. Because we duplicated each of these. Let me organize this real fast. I realized I missed the bottom as well. Perfect. I'm glad that I actually recognize that now. But because we duplicated each of these from the original object, they all get the properties of the parent. So rather than creating individual objects and going through all of that hassle and needing to assign them all of the same stats, instead, we can just duplicate it indefinitely. Yeah. So we're going to duplicate this one again. And we're going to go to replace. And I forgot the bottom, which is right here. Add the soil bottom. All right. I'm going to move that up as well. So now I can take the soil middle and stretch this out so there's not like a barren empty piece in our map. And I want to take inspiration from, let's lean on a traditional level. I think it'd be really fun to duplicate the very first level of Super Mario World to the best of our ability within our sprite set, just as homage to what we're going to be doing. So let me move over here and pull up Super Mario World level 1. I want to see if I can get a whole picture of this. That's the extra level. We don't want that one. For those interested, actually, in seeing kind of what Super Mario World maps would look like, let me show you. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. Oh, this is perfect. Here's an ad. Do you want some ad-free music? Listen to these next 30 seconds of ads and get 1 hour of ad-free music. That's what it's like. Okay, so Yoshi Island, right? We can click on the level and we can see the entirety of the level. Like, this is kind of how we're going to build our levels. So this isn't the Yoshi's Island. This is the first part of that level, and we're going to ignore that for now. We're going to go to, I think it's Island Level 2. There we are. Perfect. So this is a really... Oh, that is sad. So we get to see kind of where the tubes are, where monsters are going to spawn, right? Whoa, I didn't even know that there's a block up there. What? Oh, no, yeah, that makes sense, because that's for the climbing. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted there. So going from the very beginning, we kind of have some bushes. We have this basic little platform here with some monsters on it, and some platforms to jump on, some really early stuff. So we wanted this game to feel classic. We don't want to go overboard with like our enemies. We want to make sure everything's spread out. And here's a really good example of like how long your level would need to be in a platformer to feel, you know, to have that end polish. So let's work on building something this long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit more flavor, I think, because in those, I mean, we're a modern take on a classic game, so we have a little bit of flexibility here. I'm gonna move this over to my other screen, and we're gonna get started here. So at the very beginning, move our character over. And I think that now is a great time for us to build one of the collision blocks that have to do with keeping our player from falling out of the world. So what we're going to do is... Where do I want to put this? We're going to put this in collision blocks. We're going to call this a tiled sprite, and we're going to call it the hide me wall. And we're going to create the wall in Piskel. So you can do this any way you want, really. I think what I'm going to do, just for my own sanity, is draw a red block with some highlights in it, just so I can see very clearly what's going on here. So just take any red you want, fill that in, and then what I want you to do is take a darker red color for extra effect and draw on the inside line on the left and bottom, leaving that space there in the corners. We're not going to do anything diagonal, so it's one straight line, and then we're going to also brighten that up to be like the reflection of for light, and we're going to draw it like that. We're just going to hit save. It's going to end up looking kind of like, well, kind of like this. And now we can use this as an object that we hide in our own game to make sure that the player can't escape the map. It's pretty straightforward. And we're just going to give it the platforming behavior as well. So we're going to go into our behaviors, add behavior, and then we're going to go to platform, disable the ledge grab. Done and done. I would think then we should hide it at the beginning of the game. Now, there's a few ways that we can go about that. I'm trying to think of... Personally, I think it makes the most sense for us just to move it to a layer that we're going to hide. So we're going to close out of our instance list here. We're going to go into a new layer. We're going to move that layer under the base layer, and we're going to call it collision. How about collision and... or collision and triggers. So this is our collision and triggers layer. Lay down, buddy. All right. And we're going to move that to the collisions and trigger layer. And then we're just going to hide that layer for now. So even when we launch the game, you wouldn't be able to see it. But now that it's there, we can no longer run out of the map. So we have a little bit of an edge there. Pretty cool. So now we can start our adventure. And let's get rolling here. I'm excited for this, actually. We'll add new blocks as we need them, and we'll kind of build up a full-featured game here. So I think we decided that everything works really well. If it's 2 blocks tall, I want to go almost... I think the top of platforms need to be on the 3rd row. So what we can do is we can start by making the simple silhouettes and simple shapes, right? So we're going to hold Control and duplicate the land that we want, and we're just going to shrink this down to the size that we need. And I would say that we're going to go 3 on this one, okay? And we're just going to drag it to, let's say, a fair distance. We want to make it so that way the screen has to pan over this. You have to kind of like run along it like you do in the traditional Mario, or in the beginning of Super Mario World. So we're going to pull that out a little bit, and we're going to duplicate this and pull this in. Now, because this soil is a platform that we want to be able to run through, it's best if we actually just remove the middle as a blockable tile, because down here it's just texture. It's never going to be something that we use to actually block the player. So if we want the player to run through it, then we need to make sure that we set it at the right location. And we need to also make sure that all of our tiles that we add eventually go to the Z order of 1. So what I'm going to do, this is a perfect time for us to create our group. So up here in the groups panel, we're going to add a new group, and we're going to call it platforms. Or, actually we'll go level, or Z order. We're going to call it terrain. It took me a minute to think about it. So now in our terrain, we're going to add all of the things that we want to be affected by the Z order being changed and addressed. So what we're going to do is just roll through all of this. At each one of these, they'll remove themselves from the possible selection list as you click on them. So now that we have all of our tile in there as it currently is, inside of our game, in our camera manager, I like to add it into camera manager just for me because it makes sense. It's an object that at the beginning of the game gets kind of like briefly adjusted on the camera layer. So what we're going to do is go into the same area where we center the at the beginning of the scene. We're also going to now type terrain, and all of the terrain's Z order we're going to set to a value of 1. So now no matter what happens when the game finally loads, the world will always be on terrain level 1. The parallax is on -1. Actually, so we should probably just put this to 0, and we'll put the player on number 1. It just should be uniform no matter what you're doing. So, like, if you wanted to play, like, in the older Marios, in Super Mario, or in Mario Bros. 3, if Mario holds down for long enough on a pillar, he can drop behind the map. All you would have to do in this game is change your Z order and then remove the collision. Like, basically you drop down through the ledge and you become invisible behind the wall, and then you run behind everything. So that's definitely a mechanic that we can very easily implement into our game, and we're going to. But for now, let's get those corners in. So now that we had our base of our tile set kind of started here, we can grab our corner piece out, and now that we have one, we can just control duplicate and move it over and change the animation right here. Just change it to like number 1. There used to be... Hello? Why did they change that? Oh, I guess you can still use your arrow keys to flip through them, but there used to be a digit here you could click to increase its animation, but now we're just going to use our arrow keys. So we're going to set that to 1. And then because it is we have an edge piece that we need here, we actually got to go back to our repeatables, go back to soil, and we need to find the edge end piece. It looks like that. That one looks kind of weird. So we're not going to use that one. Instead, we're going to use the full grass edge piece. And we're just going to duplicate that and then change its animation. That's its rotation. I can't change its animation because I'm silly. There we go. I'm working with tiled sprites. I forgot what I was doing there for a second. We're just going to keep increasing the map as we need it. And I guess just to preemptively, we already know that the map is going to be mostly flat. That's just how Mario works. So we're just going to pull that out all the way. Let's get back over here. Hello? What was that about? How did everything disappear? Oh, I know why. That's funny. So we're going to move the... calm down. Got to move the terrain on the back up to number 1, because 0 was where I actually put the parallax. I thought I'd gone back one farther. So there we are there. The corners I forgot to add collision with, so we just fell through that corner. All right. That's all right. We're getting there. I think that's perfect. In fact, I think that we're going to even... I think it's too high. So we're going to drop this down by 1, and we'll just shrink everything down. All right. So let's go add our corners as a behavior, and we're going to do platform. No ledge grabbing. Perfect. Let's get back into our game here. There we go. And now we can just kind of... Oh, we can't run through it yet, but we will once I clear up the corner here. So we want to be able to make sure that we can run through our objects here. And I'm starting to think that there might be a better technique for doing the Mario game let me think about this. So I want the behavior to be a platform. Oh, actually, we could treat it all as a jump through platform. Aha! I'm a genius. It's all right. I know what to do here. So jump through platforms let us walk through them, right? So now we can walk through it, jump on top of it, and that solves all of our problems in our collision. Because if you have to press down to fall, and we don't have the down key programmed, so technically we can actually cheat and use this method, which gives us perfect platforming as we'd expect it, without needing to remove the behavior at all. So that's pretty exciting. I forgot about that. All right. So I'm going to bring back the collision layer real quick, and I want to move this just back just a little bit. Let's see if it'll let me see over the edge of the map. It will not. Perfect. Oh, perfect. Okay. Lovely. I love this. This is working out great. All right. So now that we have the first platform, it's a bit long, for one, probably. Nice. And what I want to do is duplicate this, give us a little bit of a gap, shrink it down, and pick it up, because that's what they do here in Mario. Make sure you hold control when you duplicate something. Okay, we're going to duplicate that over, drag it down, and duplicate that over. And we forgot the top, so we're just going to bring that in. Excellent. So now between the two of these, we can't go over there yet because our camera doesn't move. And to do that, we just need to unlock. We locked something earlier. So we're going to open up our instance list and get back to our camera zone feature. And we're going to unlock it here. And just so we can see it and control it a bit more, I'm actually going to pick it up above the map just a little bit. And now I'm going to stretch it all the way across to allow us some freedom of movement. And I'm going to lock it one more time. This time I'm just going to lock it so I don't move it on accident. So here we go. All right. We're going to remove that jump height from our character. He jumps a little bit too tall. So let's go into our player object and address that. We're going to set the jump speed 350 is good. Sustain should be, we're actually going to drop it back down and do less sustain. Check out that sustain speed. That should be just about enough. Let's see. On a regular jump, that puts us above the wall. Oops. Interesting. I didn't think about that happening. Wait, why did it happen? Wait, what? Hello? Give me a moment. What? Huh? What? Somebody gotta explain that to me. What happened there? Oh, it's because this is a jump through platform. Okay. On the side, lefts and right, I think I do need to delete the platform entirely. Let's try this. For this to work perfect. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. I don't fall here. There we go. I still think we jump a bit high. So we're going to drop our initial jump value down to like 325. Yeah, 325. Fall speed 500. There we go. And yeah, you're not supposed to be able to jump onto this one without jumping on the blocks that are here. So that's going to work perfectly. So now that we have that, we can actually add our blocks back. And our blocks need to be something like this. And we want blocks over here. So actually, these should be one higher now that I'm thinking about it. I want 2 gap at least, so you can't hit them here. Oh no, you need to be able to hit them here. Nah, that's cool. Whatever. Let's do these two together. All right. I like can't see anything because I'm like shrinking my own vision here. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. And then they use a really interesting block at the beginning, which is an info block. And I think it's time that we start adding in some of those special things. So let's get into our block list. We're going to add some new blocks. Add a couple animations, and let's start with, let's see here. We'll add the face block. So let's go into our tile sets, our blocks. We'll do the blocks with eyes. We're just gonna add everything, right? So let's do the up block, the lock block, the exclamation block, and now we're gonna go in and do the red, green, and blue block. Wow, I made the perfect number of animations. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. So we're just going to go through and name these real quick. So this is going to be, so we have default, used, we're going to have the face block, the arrow block, the key block, the exclamation block, the red block, green block, and the blue block. All right. And I need it to be I guess it's RGB, isn't it? Red, green, blue. All right. So I think what would be fun is to kind of just mix this up a little bit. We're just going to change the animation just to add a little bit of variety into some of these. And we can start adding in some different effects and things. So let's see here. Let me take a look at that original map again. So just so you guys know what I'm looking at, we're looking towards this section here at the very beginning where we get more information in the first level. So these are the informational blocks, the red blocks. And so we're going to preemptively put them in the map, but they're not going to do anything because we're going to give them all functionality at the end. So we know that somewhere over here, we need a little bit of some buffer room and then our informational block at the beginning of our game. So we're going to just go over here, change this over to the red block for information, and then we're going to continue developing. I want to create this as close as I can to the original without being a direct copy of it, like, you know, item for item, but I think it'll be okay. So we can go into our pickups and make some coins now. I love this. We're going to start with the first coin jump that you do. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. That might work. Maybe we can collect those. We'll see. This is where that Yoshi coin is. If you guys have ever played it. So we're going to run here, jump up, jump, jump. Good. Make sure these are working. Oh no. Okay, right. We can't quite jump. That's all right. We gotta adjust that just a smidge. Maybe if we sustain our jump for a little bit longer, we can get up higher. What? Let's go. I was just checking something in my head. Oh, there we go. Oh no, can I get up there? Ah, I can. Wait, can I? Wait, no, why did that happen again? Oh, because I only did it for the one. Duh. Alright, that's fine. I don't know if that actually worked or not. No, I can't get up there yet. Alright, so we need to increase the jump a little bit more. So I guess I had it right the first time. So it needs to be like 340 at a sustain of 2 is fine. That should work. Try this again. Oh, much better. All right. And then to fix this, I forgot that they're not duplicates of each other, so I do have to delete that one as well. All right. All right. And I want a little bit more air acceleration. So we need to now go into our character and turn our walk acceleration up. Let's go to 300 and our deceleration at 300 as well. And this will just, we're fiddling with, let me turn my Steam off, how far we can move in each jump, how to get the right amount of force so that way we can pick up things like that. So we should be able to sustain our jump long enough that we can clear that gap effectively. And this is a great demo for making sure that our jump speeds and things are just right. So we actually need to change our sustain to be even longer than we originally thought. Or there's no way that because we fall short. And we want to make sure we have that float in our jump to be truly Mario-esque. So, yes, nailed it. All right. And here we're going to put our first collectible. So we're going to build that object now, actually. We're going to go and duplicate the coin, and we're going to call it butter. And we're going to delete... I actually don't have an animation for butter. What the heck? I just realized that. I just have a butter. We're going to fix that later. But for now, go to our items. Add that butter. All right, we got that butter. I'm going to put that butter right there. Ooh, look at that butter. All right. So we're going to use butter as our collectibles because we're toast, right? Everything's a little bit... Yeah, exactly. Life is just better with butter, all right? All right, so I'll definitely be able to hit that. That's good. We just can't collect it yet, and that's totally fine. So the beautiful thing about this jump is it normally lands you on that first enemy. This is the first time, other than the original shell, where you have to deal with the turtles up here. Honey on your toast if you're lucky. I like the idea of honey, actually. I never thought... We have syrup plains, and I've been thinking about an enemy for it, and literally, Riley, you just came up with the enemy, a bee. I've been thinking about what to make because we have the grass. We have a bunch of different levels. Or I have a bunch of different levels planned, and one of them is the syrup plains. And yeah, I've been thinking about what enemy to make, and I think a cute little bee would be perfect. So there it is, and honey to collect on that level. Thanks, Riley. Epic. All right. Let's see. And now we're going to go into the next stage of this level, which is kind of a little flat for a while. So we continue onwards. They have some background terrain that spices it up a little bit, but we get to about over here, and then the level changes just slightly. And so we're going to grab the corner, and we're going to start fleshing out the altitude change in this level. Happens pretty quick. Starts a little bit distant, and then each time it gets closer and closer. There we go, something like this. And then we're just going to take that top, we're going to duplicate it and move it over. Now this one's really long, so shrink that way down. First of all, I gotta actually take this phone call, guys. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I apologize about that. Um, I had to take a medical phone call on behalf of my mother, so that took a second, but we're back. Thank you guys for the patience. I super appreciate it. Let me get my brain squared back on here and remember what I was doing, and we're going to continue. All right. Yeah, it was all good. I just working with insurance and getting everything squared away. So, all right. One of the things we got to do for our corners is we actually uploaded a additional animation inside of our corners that gives us the edge piece. Now we actually have two of them. I have a smaller one. If you wanted to add a little bit of variation in that detail every so often. Um, oh yeah. Oh, it's my favorite. Don't you know? Like dealing with the government is my absolute favorite thing in the world to do. And if you don't like dealing with the government, who are you? Are you even real? Like, all right. Interesting. So now we're gonna actually have an issue. Oh no, I know exactly what to do here. This is perfect, actually. So because we got rid of this piece as being something that is a platform, what we need to do now is, you remember that hide me wall? We're gonna bring that hide me wall back in, and we're gonna move it to the collision layer. And that guarantees that we can't go through that, even with that transition, that change. So we're gonna just keep working on this here. We're gonna duplicate this piece over, and we're gonna keep flipping through the anime. Oh, there it is. Okay, didn't need to flip through anything. We're gonna bring that top piece back. All right, and we're gonna continue on the map. So here, interesting, we end up with a parallax issue because we're gonna now see the bottom of our parallax. So we're gonna fix that. So we're gonna go back into our instance list, go to the parallax. When I find it, I'll just type for it, PAR. There it is. We're gonna unmute it so we can grab it, move it down one, much better. And maybe even, that'll work. So now when we actually do a parallax for the game, and we set up the actual parallaxing like features, we wouldn't need to straight like drape it across this way. It would just kind of function. So we can. Hello, what happened there? Wait a minute. Why did our character fall through the world? Oh, because I took off the top. Alex, you're a genius. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. So we can see the top, and we're going to fix that later. But that's okay. Because when we use actual parallaxing with the parallaxing feature, this will scroll in such a way where it doesn't have... It fits perfectly on the screen. But that's okay. All right. I forgot a corner piece right here. Whoa! Threw myself off the cliff. Why is that corner piece? We're going to actually make that a platform. The corner pieces should be a platform, not a pass-through platform. I think. It might hit our head, though. Considering what we're going to need to do here. Yeah, we're not going to be able to jump on that corner if I do it that way. Jump through platform. Jump through platform. Okay, so I got to resolve that issue. This one. is a jump through platform, but that means we can go through it sideways. So all we're going to do instead is bring that hide me block back in. Anytime where you have a gap or something like that, just bring that block in and then move it back into the collision layer. And of course, to fill in that spot that we broke, we're going to do that. And I'm going to alternate the texture here to give us that nice alternation. Alter the different block. There we go. All right. And it's time for us to add another object to our game. This is going to be we're going to call it a trigger object. And we're going to bring in the goalpost. So this is going to be the checkpoint. Okay. We're going to import default and then triggered. We're going to add in the object and we're going to go to our sprites for that. It's not a particle. Actually, it's in our tile set, isn't it? It's extras. We're going to add the fence. And then we're going to add the fence broken. So now when we pass through this object, we're going to trigger it, and that's going to be the return point for our save. Okay? So we're going to now use this object as a returning spot for our character should ever we die if we touch it in this level. Just like in the original Mario. So we're going to add that checkpoint now to the game. And again, we're just building the level out. We're not going to do any of the important tweaks or anything until later. And we're also going to add another info block. So we're going to copy that block and we're going to paste it down here. You can Control-C, Control-V, or you can use Control and duplicate it by clicking. And we're going to add that information block at such a spot where it seems like there's some sort of information here. Now, in Mario, I realized that there's actually, it's much taller. And because of how small and fat our character is, it might make sense for us to build this, like, either stretch it in size up to 32 by 32, or to redraw it entirely. For now, we're just going to stretch it up and make it bigger, but I think I will redraw it later. And that'll be a part of your guys' template set. So I'll leave the variations in there, but I think I'm going to just physically draw a taller one. So now that we're here, let's add a couple more details to our game. So we want to start off with the idea that you want to jump up here. So let's do 2 like this, and then we're going to duplicate our butter and move it over here. So now we have kind of an arc for us to jump from. And I'm wondering maybe we could do it like that, or move it out a little bit. I'm curious how far we can jump out and over. So this is our test, right? We need this level is all about us figuring out the basics of our movement, and getting all of the features in order before we move on onto any other part of our game. So can I jump and get it? Oh, I fell like a monkey. You goober. You fell. You're a genius. Oh boy. All right. So we also need to move the camera down just one spot here. So what we can do is actually copy and paste the camera, because it's still the same camera zone, right? And then we can go to here once I find which one it is. Camera, there it is. Unlock it. Nope, unlock it all the way. Thank you. And we should be able to, if memory serves, I could be wrong, just add that little bit in and stretch this one out. And it should just continue the camera function, but I could be wrong. But we're going to test that out. So here we go. We're good. We're going. Let's go. That didn't work. That's okay. I think we're just going to have to address the entirety of the map. And to fix that, all I'm going to do is just move this up one. No big deal. No big deal. We'll just keep it like this for now. Just to make sure that everything's good. And rather than making me run that entirety, again, I'm just going to move my character over here. And jump. All right. Beautiful. Now, I don't want that to happen. So the character should not be able to jump all the way up here. And to fix that, what we're going to do is add another one of those hide me blocks. And this is why this object exists. It's super perfect for this sort of stuff. So we're just going to move it back to the collision layer to hide it. That's great. These work out excellently. Actually, did those even work right? Now that I'm thinking about it, can I just like fall through this? I can! Ah! All right, we're going to fix that. Also, this should be 16 by 16. Can we fix that, please? There we go. Duplicate, 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 duplicate. Anytime there's a corner, we're just going to have to do this now. Not a big deal. Put those there. And now we can continue this map. All right. So in the map, we get into our first major secondary obstacle, which is the pipes. Now, I don't have anything in terms of traversals now that I'm realizing is. In Mario, pipes are a big part of the game, traversing through different areas, and I just realized I don't have a single one. I don't have an object that we can travel through, and I don't want to use pipes, but I don't want to use a toaster either. That seems too on the nose. Gonna need to think about that. I really don't like how big that thing is either. All right. Sorry, I'm just checking out a couple of things. We don't want that. I am really curious, actually, if I take this color and copy this. Thank you. What if we just turn the camera color, edit with Piskel, into the same color, and then it blends in, and you can't even tell. Genius! I'm a freaking genius. That'll work for now. That's a simple solution. I don't know why I didn't think about that earlier. That means now I can actually drop the camera down a little bit farther. Yay! We can see underneath. I like this. This is good. Yeah, this is great. So, we can actually go backwards now and redo everything we just did. And because of how it's built, you could literally just cover that up if you wanted to, right? Just plop it on top of itself. But I don't want any overlapping weird collisions, so we're just going to go ahead and fix that in its entirety. There we are. Bring that back up. Perfect. Now, this should fall down to the point where I can still see the ground. There we go. All right. And we can't return, and that's the whole point here. Once you jump off, you're done. So, now that we've got that taken care of, normally there would be some sort of traversal here. So instead, let's add a different obstacle for us to consider. Let's build... I think we need to add more sprites. So this is perfect. Inside of our corners, we're going to duplicate... Actually, I'm just going to create a new object. We're going to create a corner alternate. And these alternates are going to be the platforms where there's live edging. So right here, we can see that happening. This is the top of that platform. And then we have some edges that we can use. Now, these are singular platforms. They have a bottom. But inside of our sides, we can see them here. these ones that have, it's really hard to see, but I'll show you. So we want to start with building the two top pieces, the two top corners. And if memory serves, let me see where I put them. Probably in tops. No, not in tops. I'm pretty sure that this one has a bottom piece, right? Let me check it out in Piscal. I can't, it's hard for me to even see. Yeah, this has a bottom piece. I need to find this one, but without that bottom piece. Where did I put it? Not there. I wonder if I accidentally uploaded it into a weird spot. Or forgot to export it? That's entirely possible. Extras. I think I forgot to export it. No problem. I'll fix that right now. So, in our alternates, I need to open the file and figure out where I put it. Okay. Grasslands, left, right. That's perfect. All right. So inside of the tile set now, in the corners, these are technically corner pieces. They don't have a middle. Oh, they're right there. How did I miss that? What? Where was I? Okay, they're right there. Wow. All right. Technically don't even need to name them, but that was funny. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I just had like a huge brain fart. Didn't see them, but they are there. So now that we have these alternates, we can do some pretty interesting shapes. So we can start doing like pillars and other kind of fun things like that. So we now want to start using those live edges. So we can go back to our repeatables. Oops. Into soil. And that's where we use these ones. Like that. So to make this kind of interesting, we're gonna lean away from what we already know in Mario, and we're gonna create our own obstacle here. I don't want that one. Let's see. There should be a very light corner piece that is like, there we go, very small. And I think actually the best end piece to use here is actually the one that kind of has, hello, I'm going the wrong way. This one. Kind of looks a little funny, but that's all right. I'm not too worried about that. We're going to drop this down and make it seem like it goes out of the map, right? Because it does. We're going to make a thing where if you fall here, you die. So this is your first real hazard in our version of this Mario level. And I think that what would make it a little bit fun is just kind of adding this jump here that just really sells the point that if you fall, you're gonna die. And then we'll move this back over. Copy, paste, and continue with our development here. I'm gonna keep this going, both of them, just to make sure we have enough room to continue our level. So normally here is where you would find the pipes in Mario. And instead of doing that, we're going to go over with this little jump gap. Just in case you fail to jump, you'll fall. Should be pretty easy, but who knows? It's your first jump hazard. You might slip. Such is the way. And then we have our 3 blocks that we can get here for extra coinage. I do want to, okay, yeah, that's good. And then now we can go back over and kind of duplicate this. So I'm going to start by grabbing this whole thing over here. And I know that we're going to have to rebuild the invisible walls. But what we can do is paste this here. Paste, oops, another one up top, something like this. And do another one down here, which is more like this. And we can, let's see, let's shrink this one. So we don't need that edge. Oh, yeah, we do. What am I talking about? Let's kind of build this up a little bit. Let's move this over, stretch it. It's kind of a good ending spot. Maybe we'll go one further. I think that would be fun here is actually if we translated that into this one. Yeah, I like that. I think that adds a little bit of extra texture to what we're doing. So we can take those corner pieces off, and this is just another way to use those end pieces to generate some other cool design and look. And I want to continue that on this edge as well, just to add some variation between the lot of them. And maybe we'll do another one over here. Now I kind of want to do it with all of the corners, but this is fine. We don't need to break it. All right. So now with all of this in place, all we need to do is go back to the hide me corners. And I want each of these ones to actually, these corner alternates that we didn't do, to just be regular platforms. So this one should just be a platform, yeah, this edge, because this edge is going to stop you no matter what. And this one should also be a default platform. And then because of that, however, this is going to be an issue over here. I lied. We're going to do a jump through platform on that corner. Yeah, going to need to. And then we're just going to have to add that hide me. Now, what we can do, though, on this corner, if we don't want it to be like, we can just drop the hide me like that. It'll still work as a platform. And it just really defines exactly where you want that to be at. Because if these are jump through, so jump through means that we can land on the bottom of that edge, and we don't want that. So let me think here. How are we going to do this? Because now we're like layers on top of each other. As long as this... Oh, no, that's fine. No, that should be fine. I don't think I need that at all. My brain isn't working. Let's see what happens. I'm going to play around with this for a second. Okay. Yeah, that's all sorts of wonk. Hello? Okay. So, what? Oh, first of all, I see. These are all going to go down to the same layer. But what is deciding that this one gets to go ahead of the other one? Oh, that's because I didn't add it to the group list. Yep. Whenever you add new textures, guys, make sure that you add them into the Z order list, right, for the terrain. That's important, because if not, they'll overlap each other in really weird ways, as we just saw. So let's keep going in here. And now we have a couple of things that we need to resolve. So let's do that. So these rough sides are platforms. They don't need to be anything. I don't know why I added those. Or maybe I just didn't fix them from before. So that's that. Let's remove those platforms. They don't need to be anything. And instead, the reason why I did that actually is because over here, we wanted it to be blocked. But I got to remember that if I want to do custom blocks, I really need to just do this. This is the best way to resolve that issue. And then just grab both of those and move them again to that collision layer. And that way, our edges can always be passed through. I gotta remember that myself, so I don't forget. All right, let's try this again. Making sure that everything is as it should be. All the edges we can pass through. Jump, jump, jump. All right. So there's a little bit of a texture hiccup that's happening right here, but I can fix that. Okay, so there's actually there's something here. Where is it? Aha, okay. I wasn't crazy. It is in there. I just gotta make it so I can't accidentally click on this stuff. Give me just a second. So what I did earlier, I need to undo. There's a collision, or hide me wall. I gotta find it. Not that one, not that one. I'm gonna keep going. No, no. Wait, is there two there? I'm so confused. Aha. Get rid of that. Don't need you. So delete it. And then where was the other one? That one too. Delete it. There we are. Now that should fix that issue. That was my own mistake. Don't do as I do. That's why you're watching me in live. Later on, you guys will be able to see that I fixed those freaking mistakes. Because I'm a genius. All right. There we go. So now, this corner is getting cut off by this piece. So what I want to do instead is, okay, if we actually put that there, right, and we delete this, that actually looks more natural, in my opinion. So there isn't anything for you to run on here. You will fall because there's nothing there. So if we do something like this, the player would fall here. Good. Yes. All right. That feels great. We're kind of customizing and rebuilding some of what Mario had done here. Now comes one of my favorite parts. I was so excited to start doing this today. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the animation block that has eyes up here, okay? And we're going to move our camera because now our camera is going to be able to reach all the way up here. I know, it's crazy. But, so what we're going to end up doing is changing the block to the green block, this one to the green block for now. It's going to give away the fact that it is one of the plant blocks. But it's time for us to build that glorious climbing vine. I'm so excited to do this. Give me just a second to take a drink of water, and we'll get right back into this. Okay, so the next thing that I want to work on here is the actual logic for this block. So what we're going to do is go back into our block manager, and we need to start working on some additional collision information. So to do that, I think it would be best, let's see, we need to first consider what we want to create. So before I can actually create anything and build that climbable, we actually have to work on those objects in our game. So I need to create in the blocks list. I'm actually going to just add it into blocks because it's a component of a block, right? So we're going to add the component for the block. We're going to create a sprite, and we're going to call this the climbable. Climbable, yeah. And we're going to add the animation for this. And we just have a couple. We have default. I don't think you don't need to name these. Alternate and end. You could if you, I mean, you don't have to follow that structure, but you can if you want. And then we're going to go back into our tile set, go to our extras, and we're going to get plant. So that's the top, right? Default is the end. So we want plant number 1 to be, these are kind of uploaded weird. We're going to do it 3, 2, and then 1. So we're going to upload that one, then this one, and then we're going to end with the end piece. The end piece is important. You can do it either way on these two, but the end piece has to be the end piece. So now what's going to happen is we're going to create from this block where we use the coin to build up the logic to generate the climbable, which is going to go all the way up until it hits another block. So until it hits the block that makes it stop. And that's basically what they do in Mario. And so to do this, now that we have the climbable built, we need to add some behavior to it. And we're going to add the platforming behavior, just like we did before on everything else. But now we're going to change it to ladder. And we're going to turn off the ledge grab and hit apply. So now the climbable becomes a ladder. So whenever we have it, the game will recognize it as a ladder climbable object. Super simple. And we need to add a variable into this object called spawn next. And that's going to be a Boolean. Every time this object creates something, then we're going to say spawn next is true. Every time it generates and creates something, it's going to check above it and keep checking to make sure that the vines are being created the right way, right? So to do that, we can start on getting the climbable into place. And now that I'm thinking about it, actually, we're going to need a point. We're going to need a couple of points on this climbable object. So we can start with the collision. The collision's nice. I don't think that we need to change that. Now let's go to the point and look at all the different points that we need to create. So let's start with some basics here. So the center of our plant is going to be 8, 8, which is fine. We don't need to move that over. We're going to create a new one just called plant. And that's going to be 8, 0. So you just write it there. It'll go right to the middle on the top. The origin is going to be down here on the bottom, right? Because we want it to start at 8, 16. We want it to be centered and going, it's going to be spawning straight up. So all of our points need to be straight up, right? So now that we have that, we can now add we can add 2 checker points. We can do a block check and a bottom check. So first we're going to start with the block check. We're checking to see if there's a block above us. So we need to start with a block check. And we're going to make that 8 and -2. So we're going to actually make it above our canvas here. We're going to put the point outside of the actual sprite so we can check if it's in collision with something else, i.e. a block, right? Stop creating or change the texture when we finally encounter that block. The next thing that we need to do is do a bottom check. All right. And then we're going to make that 8 at -18. And that's way down here. Wait, no. -18 is way up here. Where'd it go? Not -18. I'm a goon. Just regular 18. There we are. -18 was way up there. Sorry, regular 18. 8 by 18. Okay. And that'll put it down here at the same distance as this one is. So now we have a little bit of like a middle checker, up top, bottom, and then an extended checker. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Make sure you hit apply. If you don't, you'll curse yourself. You have to do it all over again. All right. Now comes the part where when we bump the block, right? We need to create something at a specific point. So what we can do, something that we can't, that I like to do, is rather than creating a point for every single block, we can actually now go specifically to, what is this? The origin? Oh, that should be down here too. I guess it doesn't matter. All right, I got distracted. Sorry. We're going to go to the green block, and we're going to disable share points with all animations. We're going to disable that now. And we're going to create a new point. And now only on the green block do we have this particular point. We don't need to assign it to every single block we have, right? That's pointless. Don't need to do it that way. Unless you want your block to be spawned, like for all of them to have the same potential, then you can just turn that back on, I guess. So it's up to you how you run it. You don't need it, but you can do it this way if you just want to make it simple. And just do 8, right? Because that's center. And then we're going to do 0. So it's at the exact same place as the coin, more or less. So let's move the coin actually to the true center. Or not true center, but block center. Texture center. Did I make a pun? What's up, Reborn? That's funny. Let's see here. So now that the point is set, we can create it. Yeah. All right. So we're going back to our block manager. Let me close some of this stuff out. Inside of our block manager, whenever we hit an object, we want to that's funny, Reborn. I didn't realize I had said that, but indeed. I said we don't need to add that point to every block because it is pointless. All right. You got me. Got him. We can change the animation type to green. And so we're checking if it is a green block. And if it is, we want to create an object at a particular location. We're going to create the climbable object, right? And we want to change the point on XY to be plant. I didn't name that point, and we're going to go back and name that point. We're going to call it plant. I forgot to do that because I got distracted. So going back to your block list, go back to your point, change that point to plant. And now you're good to go. So now that we have the plant set up, we can create it, and it'll create the first one, right? So it's going to create one object right above it. So I can show you this. Let me grab my character. He's way over here. Let's bring him over here, and we'll do a quick little test run. And when you hit this object, it's going to create that. And that's the end of it. That's all it's supposed to do. It did exactly what we wanted it to do. So now, from that point, we want to have the... actually, I'm going to move this over one. So you have to like jump and hit it. I think the original was like directly above the block. Like this. I don't know. Maybe. We'll figure it out. But now we want to create the logic for the climbing, right? So we have it creating the object, but now we want a logic system to generate the climbable. I'm trying to think in my head how I want to generate that. Because we did all the prep work here, so... All right. What we're going to do is inside of the block manager, we're going to add the climbable block mechanics. I think it just makes sense to add it here rather than creating a new page. So we're going to create a new event group, and we're going to call this Vine Logic. And And we're going to check in the beginning condition if the climbable boolean is set to true. So if the spawn next is set to true, we want to oh my goodness, I had a hiccup. All right, we want to invert the condition. Hold on, that is a invert. How did I do this before? My brain. Return the contrary of the result of the subconditions. How did I do this again? Not. Ah, yes, not. I was like, I forgot what the keyword was, so it's not. So if you get in here and you type not, you'll get exactly what I just did. I had to paste it over because I couldn't remember exactly where I found it. So if it's true and the climbable point of block check, right, of X and Y of block check is inside, and this is block list, is inside of the block list, then we want to do something. For now, we're going to, this is kind of a messy way to do it, but we're gonna do it anyways. We're going to set the climbable to false, the actual, so immediately if it is not in collision with a block. And I'll show you the way that I am going to manage this. So we're going to set the boolean to false, right? So as soon as it starts, we want it to basically switch off because this is per each instance of a climbable. We are going to, there's a couple of factors here that goes into creating the objects. So if it's not in collision with a block, we're going to turn off the next to say false, like did spawn next climbable. It's done that, or like stop with that one object, because we're not going to repeat this per number of objects or whatever. So basically we're going to turn this off here, and then we're going to I'm going to wait, and I'm just going to wait 0.1 times time delta just to make sure that we are in frame count. So like 0.1 of a second, it's going to trigger off, and because we want this to happen super fast, because in Mario, it snaps up super quickly, and I don't want to. I want to do it in a way that just kind of emulates that system. So we're going to create a new object. We're going to create another one of these climbable objects at the next position. So the next position, because we're dealing with each plant individually, because of the way that because they're each an instance. So once an instance is created, it turns this feature off, but it triggers the event. And so because it's not in collision, we need to create another climbable object. And so we're going to create the climbable point at the at point X, and inside of this we're going to do plant, because we're creating it just like we did a moment ago from the block, but instead now we're creating another plant, and it's just going to keep building up on top of itself. And we want to make sure that each climbable is created on the base layer, as well as we're just going to alter its the climbable Z order. So despite what, like, the terrain is always going to have some sort of Z order factor that's permanently set, when we set this, I'm just going to create it to whatever the player is on. So we're going to set the Z order value to toast, which is our player, dot Z order -1. So it's always going to be behind the player. No matter what layer the player is on, it'll be created, and it'll set it to that position. And now that we have that, we can create the second part of this. It's super straightforward. And we're going to just take this block. So this is if it's not inside of that block, which we could have just inverted it. Sure. It's not as fun. And we're going to trigger this once. So now if it is inside of the block, so if not inside of the block, do this. If it is inside of the block, and that check goes off, we want to also set spawn next to false. And then we want to change the animation of that climbable. So go down to climbable and go to animation. And as you may have guessed, we're going to set it to the end piece. So now when we hit this block, it's going to create it. And it goes all the way up. And I can't climb it currently because I don't have any logic there done. But that's it. Boom. Done. We don't need to do anything more. It just works. Except for, of course, adding our climb key. So to do that, we're going to go back into our games. Well, actually, we've already prepared our key binding for up, right? Up is going to now be our key. Arrow key up is going to be our climbing key. So all we have to do is go into our player finite state machine. And similarly to this, we want this to always be true. So I could go into every single one of these and change this, but I want up to always, no matter where we are in our system, to climb, to enable climbing. So all we're going to do is copy and paste this, and we're going to change the key. We're actually just going to say key. If key text expression is pressed, and the text expression is going to be up. So it's just keyboard, bindings, keyboard, up. So whenever that key is pressed, no matter what we're doing, we want to climb. So we're just going to go to toast, and then we're going to simulate the that's release platform. There, simulate ladder key press. So whenever we press up, we're going to simulate that for the toast, no matter what condition we're in. So now we have it, right? But we have a couple of other things that are kind of going on here, because just because we're holding up, right, it enables our climbing key, but it doesn't actually move us up. So at the same time, we want to not only press the ladder key, but then press the up key as well. And that'll help us move up. There we go. Now, this is a lazy way of doing that. Because we will need to change. The reason why I'm doing this again is because as we move through the series, we're going to polish. And while I could teach you all of the initial polish now, I think it's really good for you to see the ways that you can prototype and then transfer those into all of your scripts. I've taught you guys enough in this series already to be able to translate what I'm doing here into each of your states if your game specifically needs that level of control. So if you need less control, you can start doing that work inside of your player finite state machine, but at the topical level. But you should really put these inside of your states. Climbing should be its own state, right? So because then we can change the animation. So if we're climbing and if we're doing this, so we're going to create a subcondition. These are always going to happen every time, but while we're climbing, so we can say if the condition is that the player is, let's see here, if up key is pressed, simulate ladder control, and then start moving upwards. If the toast character is already climbing, so we need to go to is on the ladder, then we're going to change the animation by name into an animation that we don't have. Good job, Alex. Okay, we're going to go to your toast, and we're going to add a new animation, and it's going to be the flop animation. So we're going to use flop for multiple different animations, or like for different tasks in our game, not different animations. And so we want to add flop, tile set, sprites actually, toast. Oh, we need flop and we need climb. Sorry. So first we're going to do climb. I forgot that we're doing that. My brain got sidetracked with what I wanted to do next, which is your fall animation. So we're going to actually do flop as well. So I guess. Good to know that I'm still goofy. I can never remember my own direction that I'm trying to move in. My brain got ADHD. It's great.
So now we have flop. We're going to change that to the 0.1. Climb doesn't need anything because it's a one singular sprite. And so now we're going to go back into our player finite state machine and set the player to climb. So whenever we're climbing, we'll have that control. So the thing that we don't have that's going on as well is that when we press down, we want to do something similar. So now we're going to go to keyboard and then we're going to go down. And if we are on a ladder and we're going down, literally simulate the down key press, right? Pretty straightforward. And now we have down and up on the keyboard. And these are always going to happen. So we can climb up and down now. And it doesn't matter how far that block goes. And we can also, just for added effect, because we haven't added a false state yet, and I don't want to quite yet, instead, we're going to add another animation controller. And here, we're going to say that if the toast is falling, then we're going to change the animation of the toast. And so we're just going to copy that animation change that we did here. And we're going to paste it into is falling, and we're going to change it to flop. Okay. So now anytime we fall, no matter where we are, we're going to slowly turn into that flop animation. Right. We've got a little bit of a collision issue. And it needs to go faster. That looks great if we're trying to lay on the floor, but it doesn't look great if we're flying into the air. So there's a couple of things that we can do. One, we're going to increase the speed of the animation, so we're going to change this down even farther. Let's preview the... That's jump, silly. And that also needs to be that fast. Here we go. Preview. I want there to be like 14 frames a second here. It needs to happen fast. 16 frames a second. I like that. We're going to break that down a little bit to 0.06. Perfect. Now let's see if that flop looks better while we're jumping, right? And now we're falling. There, that looks much better. So that, right, now that because we're falling, it doesn't change our animation. We need to make sure that if we're falling and not on the floor. So if we're falling and not on the floor, falling and is on or it is not on the floor, right? Now our idle animation won't get messed up. So when we're falling in the air, oh, wait a minute. That's because of in our idle, we have a trigger once when we enter the state. If we remove that trigger once, now whenever we oh, you're right. Yeah. Hold it. You are right. My brain got mixed upside down here. So this is why finite state machines are so important, right? So if we had included all of this into the things that we needed to, so now I could pull is falling out and make is falling part of the jump series, right? So in our actions, we can jump and we can transition. And what we can say is that while we're falling in our transition, we just go into the flop animation. And then the second we return to idle, and we're not falling, it should fix our issue there. There it goes. So that's that, right? We're going to use the flop later on as if when we jump and hold down, it'll force us to flop, and we're going to slam on the ground like Mario's butt fall. So that'll work for now. And that just cleans all of that up. But that's why those... The climb action? Climb? What? Why would the climb be broken? Climb is right here. Oh, because of always an idle. Indeed. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and so the reason, so I broke that when I removed this. But I only removed that because I was trying to fix something else. So now when I climb, it's fine. There we go. Now it's all fixed. All right. So now, oops, I went way too far. Where'd my game? I closed my game scene, didn't I? There it is. All right, let's move that back to the beginning. Let's keep going here. So we have that part done. And we're just going to keep continuing here a little bit farther in the map. Trying to get that sweet Mario charm. We need to add a new platform. So now we can go into our collisions and into our tile set. And I don't have platforms in here yet, so we're going to add platforms. And these are all things that you can jump on that aren't like they're like standalone pieces, I guess. So we're just going to do cloud as this one. And I want to add my little tooth cloud. So that's in platforms. And we're going to add that cloud up here. I made it tileable, so we can just repeat it. All right, we're going to do it something like this. So you can go up all the way to the top of the map, jump down, and then we're going to add in a few more details. So let's take a look at this here real quick. I want it 1 square over, so it needs to be like this. Now we're going to go grab some coins. To recreate that nostalgic Mario level. I'm dead set on doing it. And then we're going to grab the butter and duplicate that as well. All right. There's that. And now we need to do the next piece. So let's see here. We're going to take both of these and just keep stretching them out. And we're going to take these pieces again and duplicate them. And that's how we're going to start building some of the extra components of our level. It really is. I mean, it's about asset duplication to some degree after a while. Just reusing the things that you have, making it look good as best as possible. We're going to break this piece up. We're going to make it a little bit taller. And then we're also going to add another one of the Yoshi coins, or in this case, oops. Can I get the other one too? Copy, paste. And we're going to do it a little bit differently here. Take these. Go 1, 2, 3, and then the Yoshi coin. So you're going to have to jump for that. We're going to pick this corner up. So we're going to actually have that overlap again. So let's rotate through our animations. That's not the right type of animation. It's alternate corners. I'm going to move this over and have this corner piece overlap. I need all of this, all the soil. We're going to start with this real quick. Every one of these guys, every single one of these, I'm going to change. Oh no. All right. We're going to start in the bottom and just shift click our way up. Add that one, add that one, add that one. Oh. You're killing me, game. Can you not do this, please? We're just going to keep changing the Z order on all of these to 1. I can't stand the fact that they're all out of order, and so things aren't lining up the way that they should, and it's driving me absolutely nuts. See, these are already set to 1 because I have been duplicating them off of the same position. So when you duplicate something off of a Z order, it'll keep its Z order because it's duplicating the actual object. So some of the objects I was adding had a different Z order, and it was starting to drive me absolutely crazy. But that's okay. We fixed it. And now we're going to continue. Sorry for the delay, the distraction. I think I want this one right here. Just kind of tune that up. Take the top, copy that over. Take the middle, copy that over. And we're going to end it on that like cliff edge. So let's bring that back. We're going to copy this section. Move it over here. Do another one of those fall things. I like to go one farther so I know that it's a fall. Right? I know that if you fall, you'll die. So I like doing it like that. We're going to take this corner and drop it down. I think that's too far. There we go. And then we're going to add the top. And actually, on this one, I want to do grass all the way down. We've been using... Where's it at? There it is. We haven't used a whole lot of left-facing grass, so we're going to do it on this one only. And then that means we've got to change this corner piece to be this one. Perfect. Now these are all jump through platforms, okay. Wait a moment. I just realized something. Okay, no, that's good. All right, so let's jump on this and take a look. Ah! I forgot to add collision to the teeth. Teeth cloud. So they look like to me. It's disturbing. Let's try that again. All right, good. Whee! Never died. All right. Excellent. The clouds are jumped through. In Mario? Or are you just making a joke about the fact that I just fell through the cloud? I'm going to edit the collision. In Super Mario World, I don't think that's the case. I don't remember being able to jump through. I know you can go through the clouds in the upward direction, right? But which does make them a jump through cloud. I mean, either way. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're correct. But the problem is with these, I can't edit the collision of like with non-sprited versions with tiled textures. So I think, although it's a better idea to generally use that, for our purposes to fix the collision issue, we're gonna need to turn these, like, we have too much going on here. So what I can do actually is just edit this piece and move it upwards. Now, rather than creating a whole new thing, we just kind of pick our sprite up and move it to the top and save it. And now it'll feel, there we go. That'll be better. Now your character will actually stand on it. Right? There we go. Fixed it. My own ingenuity there. All right. And that wall's borked. Let's go down here and find out what happened to that wall. Why did that wall get borked? This wall. Uh-huh. Okay. That shouldn't even be there. It should be this one. Oh. Oh, I see. What? Why are you going in front of that guy? That should not be happening. Wait a moment. Hello, sir. Why is this outranking you? What is that about? Okay, just a weird little glitch there. And then what I want to do is add those hide me walls. So we're going to go back to our collisions and re-add some of those hide me's just to make sure that the player doesn't break out of the bounds of the map. So we just got to grab those again and move them to the collision layer. Hello? Collision. Oh, I must have enabled. There we go. All right. Now, this is where things would change in Mario. So here is where we would add our traversal, our pipe. And I realized I didn't do that. So we're going to need to build something in this game that is the equivalent of a pipe for us to be able to continue this level development. So I guess before I continue any farther on trying to match this perfectly, I think this is a perfect time for us to well, actually, let me see here. A toaster teleporter. I thought about that, but I don't want to be too on the nose, but I feel like toasters is like the only way to go. Yeah. Yeah. Really, I mean, like, what am I actually going to be able to do? I have no choice but to make a toaster to really. So, let's see here real quick. These pipes are generally 2 tiles wide. So if we design the toaster to be 32 by 32, then let's start with like the edge, toaster's edge, because this needs to be like, the player needs to stand on it. So toaster has like a thing in the middle, right? So toasters have like that going on. Let's duplicate that, make it even. And then they've got the little, so this is like the toaster spring mechanism. And then that's normally like just on the edge, a little bit down from the top. And then we'll do like we'll cut the corners, I think. So let's take this one, delete this one, paste it, flip it. And then we need like a toaster slot. Let's see, we're gonna have to do like a single toaster. You know what I'm saying? And we need to go all the way down now. I gotta think about this a little bit. Let's see, we're gonna shrink this down because it's gonna be a sprite, so we can control actually its collision. So let's bring it down just a little bit. I don't even, like, I'm trying to remember what a toaster looks like. It would be so much easier if I just pulled up a picture of a toaster. Okay, I think I'm gonna do it, like, color it. It looks like a rosary almost. Normally there'd be like 2 slots, right? Most toasters have two slotted toaster, okay? But we have one big chunky toast guy. He's going into a chunky toaster. There's no way about it. It was just the way it has to be, guys. There we go. That slot needs to be much bigger. I'm thinking too small here. Like, I remember this is like a cartoon, right? We gotta really maximize when we're exaggerating certain things, because this toast guy has to go in that hole. So, he's the same size as this thing. And so if that doesn't fit, then neither will the player. So we're going to have to really emphasize some of these toast things. Toaster elements. Okay. And then maybe we can even bring this down a little bit more. Okay. Boom. And to show that it's like a slot, maybe we can do something like that. Something like this. Maybe is there a way to make it so it doesn't look so awkward? No? These things are going to need to be on the ground, though. Sometimes there's like a knob. It's like your toaster settings, you know? So you've got like something going on here. So like you generally can control your toast to some degree, right? And so instead of lines, we're going to do other buttons. So maybe there'll be a button here and a button here. That's not even. Right there. And then, because we messed this up, we can actually pull this over now, which is perfect. We're going to copy this line here and stretch it over. And then we're going to copy this whole thing, delete this, flip this around. Kind of looks like a Game Boy now. Some sort of game console machine thing. But we're going to get rid of that and get rid of this. I just wanted the ledges to be perfect. I'm going too ham on this, actually. I think that toasters usually have like trim around the top and the outside. So I think I need to reconsider the way I draw the toaster. Let's see here. So there should be some sort of rim around the toaster for depth. So I got to think about that too. Okay, so that's not going to work. I have to move this over just a little bit. It's not going to be off center. That's going to drive me nuts. So let's get rid of that for now. So up here would be the dark part of the toaster. We're going to add some like silvery elements here just to start adding up some color. We'll work on it as we go. This needs to be like this. Actually, it should be more like that. Let's see here. We're going to put this back in the actual center. And then we're going to think about this. So I actually want the knob to be rounded. So we're going to move that around. It's a huge lever. Just trying to think about how to shrink it down, make it look good enough. That's something. Start there, I guess. And I'm actually thinking that I want to raise this up. And then we're going to shrink this down a little bit, actually. So we're just going to go back to kind of the basic shape that we had before. Oops, which is like this. We're going to raise this up to nearly the top. And then we're going to add that button again. We're going to add it down here. And then we're going to add that. Let's see the button. Sort of dongle thing. Maybe we can block this in a little bit more. So it kind of looks like a twisty knob. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I'm trying to think of the best way to go about representing that. Do it this way. And then let's see. I mean, honestly, that's kind of it, right? Like toasters are a pretty basic shape, but now I just want to bring it all together. So let me think about, so if it's a black toaster, right, then the top of it would be like silver. So you'd be able to see some of the silver of the toaster top here. Okay. And then the back of the toaster, we wouldn't really be able to see much of. These colors aren't going to last. I'm just trying to get the shading done right so I can see what I'm looking at. And everything else is so brightly colored that I don't want to lean into like going too dark on the toaster. So I think like something instead where it's one of those like blue retro looking toasters. So it's like 1920s toaster. There we go. And then we're gonna just darken that up a smidge. That's actually good for me. Darken that toaster a smidge. Hit the sides. Keep the black button. Which probably wouldn't be black at this point, but that's okay. Let me just trim that up. And then we'll add the blues as we need to. Add them back. This will be black. And I think what we're going to do is just wrap that like this. And then we can go back and add that really bright color here instead. Give it that outline that it deserves. And we're going to give the whole toaster an outline. Just because, again, it needs to pop off of the background. Go all the way around. And that space should be black for now. And maybe we can take a darker edge over here. We're going to work on that. We're going to workshop this idea. But for now, I'm going to use it as a placeholder. What do I do with this? Where's it at? There it is. Sprites. This is tile set. We're going to go with extras. We're going to call it a toaster for now. And now we can add it to our game. All right. So just for temporary purposes, we're going to add in these pipes. Or in this case, the toaster. So we're going to go into our tile set. Create a new, in Grasslands, we'll create a new folder. And just call this toasters. Add a sprite object. And we're going to import that extra toaster default. And I'll add animation for like the toast popping out and him jumping into it and all of that. I just want to make sure that we can get at least some basic form of the toast platform thing going on here. So as we go in, this is where in the first map of Mario that the let me find the link here. Where'd I put it? Here we go. We're kind of looking at this section right here. So there's normally some pipes, and then the pipe goes down into the level, and you have this little bit before we get to like the end of the map, which is like right where we are. So, oops, we're going to kind of freestyle this the rest of the way. So here we have that. We're going to do another one. And we're going to make it look messy because, yeah, for now. I'm just going to stretch this one and make it a little bit bigger, taller, just so I know that we need to add another sprite here. And then we're going to, let's see here. We're almost done, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so we're actually going to follow this formula a little bit more. We know that we're going to need to get out of this a little bit further down. So these two small ones will be how we represent that. Well, we're going to need an enemy that comes out of the pipes or the toasters. I never really thought about that, like burnt toast. And then I'm going to copy the eye block and move it over here. And this is in Mario where it's a little bit more out here, actually. It's like over here. You still got to be able to hit it. Yeah, there we go. So it's kind of built like this. And this is where that POW is that would turn the end, this little end stretch, into the finale, I guess, right? So normally there's a sign here that points in the right direction, and then you have your coins, and your coins start like this, where you have a coin, and then it goes up and diagonal, and then they go like this for a while. I'm curious how far they go up. Probably 4. Probably need to go up one more. So that way I have enough room to run and I don't get hit by the enemy underneath or something. So normally there's like a football player, right? And then this just goes until the end of the map, which is like a big goal post that goes up and down. And then there's just a little bit left. So something that looks like this. So now what I want to do is finish this up with the ending. So we're not going to do the same post. We're actually going to go deeper into Mario, go further in time, and go back to Super Mario 3. And in Super Mario 3 and the endings, there was like this page tear technique that they used where you go in and hit the block at the end or get a reward or something like that. So what we're going to do is there is a texture that I didn't export. It's called Scene End. And I need to grab that now from my other project. So let me grab that. Here it is, level end. We're just going to copy that over to our current project and I'll make sure it's in the folder for you guys. So that'll be in tile set, and then it'll just be in a new folder called map or level end. Level end. That's fine. And we're just going to paste that level end in there. We're going to add a new Grasslands. Actually, inside of just the tile set, I'm going to create a new tile set. I'm going to call this Sprite. or just a regular sprite. You're going to call it level end. And we'll upload that now. Going backwards, level end, level end. So now we have this neat little level end. And what I'm going to do is kind of spice this up a little bit. We're just going to double it up to make sure it goes the full length. And then we're going to add one more block. We're going to create a new one. It's going to be a tiled sprite. This one, again, 16 by 16. And this is just black. Or map end. The level end, map end. And so this we're just going to create with Piskel. And we're going to fill it in black and just save it. That's all you got to do. And now, because it's a tiled sprite, we can just do this. And it extends that texture, making it feel like it continues onward, even though it doesn't. So there's that. We want that to not be there. Thank you. All right. So now what we'll do with the level end is we're going to create a trigger that ends the map as soon as you go a certain distance inside of it, right? For now, I think that the best way for us to handle this is to take one of these hide me blocks and make sure the player can't go too far. So we're going to go like this far in. We're going to take the end of the map, which is this big guy, and stretch it all the way to like right there. Move that base, move that collision back into that collision layer so we can't see it. And then we can add another block. We're going to add it like right here. And we're going to make this one blue. For now. So in the older Marios, when you got to the end, there's this block that's like rotating between what, you know, like what you're going to get, what item you're going to get, or what power up, or there's like extra bonuses that you can get. And we're going to add that feature into ours. But there's two ways that you can go about doing this for now. There's a block list that we can end the game with, but to show everyone another option is inside of blocks, just because it's convenient. We're going to create a new one, and this is going to be a trigger block. So we're going to do a tiled sprite. We're going to call this trigger. Actually, we're just going to call it trigger. Trigger zone. Trigger zone. And we'll create another block, 16 by 16. We're going to go create this with Piskel. And we're going to do exactly what we did on that red block, right? And the collision block. So we're just going to start with those edges, delete those edges to make it a little bit more rounded. And we're just going to turn this into like blue for now. Fill that up. And if you want to polish it up, you can do the edge lighting. Oops. Hello. Go down farther. Do the edge lighting. And then turn it up more pale and do the edge lighting. Oops. Save that. And now you have like a trigger zone. I like to make my tiles look kind of like blocks. That's why I do the edge lighting, just so I can clearly see how it's scaling. But another end that we can do is just an end trigger. So once you get in this far, no matter how, you know, it triggers the end of the game. And that's another one of those things that we can move into that hidden collision layer for now. And we're going to start with that ending. We're going to use that first as our ending. So let's program that real fast. So at the level end, it's pretty straightforward. I actually want to duplicate the trigger end and call this death zone. A death zone is going to be one of those blocks where if you fall out of the map and you touch it, right, you die and it resets the game. So this one can just be whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I'm picky and I like mine to be color coordinated. So as a death block, I'm going to do like a purple. Some weird looking miasma looking thing. Oh, no, please don't do that. Go back to this. Go back to dark. And fill that in. Fill that in. And go to light. Fill that in, fill that in. All right. Death zone. So now, anytime we fall out of the map, we also want to add death zones. So let's just add that real fast. Perfect. So anytime we fall out of the map, we also want to trigger a death zone. We might as well program that at the same time because they're triggers. So we can go back into our block manager. Actually, we're going to create a new external layout for this just to keep it organized. So we're going to take the block manager, duplicate that, and call this level events. Level event manager. Going to create a new external event. Level event. And we're going to link those two together. Level event manager. Link those together, and now we can do the final piece here. So let's see. Create an event group. We're going to call this level end, and we're going to call this one death fall. All right. So first things first, actually, let's do the level end. So if the player is in collision with the trigger event that is the end zone, we want to immediately turn off the platforming behavior. So we're going to go to toast behavior, deactivate a behavior, deactivate the platformer object, activate no. So this is deactivate it. And we're going to change the animation of the character, no matter what animation you're in, to idle. And this just says go to your idle state, or like go into the idle animation as soon as you touch the zone end. And once we do that, we're going to trigger this once. And later on, we could do a trigger event where, like, if you're in the end zone for like 3 seconds, it ends the game. So it's not just as soon as you touch it or something like that. Then we're going to start with immediately after we trigger this event. We're going to create a child just to keep it a little bit more organized. And we're going to write stop the music. So we're going to stop our music that's being played on channel 0, because channel 0 is where we play all of our music. So end any music that's being played. And then we're going to play a sound. So play. And we're going to play an audio on a soundtrack. So play on a channel. The channel will be 1, because that's where we put all of our game sounds. And we're going to play a little bit of a jingle. And I have it uploaded for you in the audio section. It's inside of levels. And we're going to do the grassland wind. So now whenever this happens, we're going to play the grassland wind tone. And we're going to play it at the volume, and we have it set in our settings. So settings.audio volume. And then the pitch will be 1. We're not going to change anything. Then we're going to wait a couple of seconds because it's a 5-second clip. And we're going to wait 5 seconds times time delta. So 5 times time delta. Again, just making sure that it's running in the frames of your project to make sure that when you're playing the game, it maintains some resemblance of time and order. And then we're going to change the game scene to the next level or to our map where we can do the overworld. But for now, we're going to change it back to our game scene. And we're going to stop and pause any scenes that currently exist because we're going to restart our game. So right now, when we end the game, we're going to go back to the beginning. That's what we've done. Otherwise, you'd return, you would like pass, this level's been completed, and then pass that into the overworld, which we'll be doing later. And now we're going to go over here and very much do the same thing. We're going to go and copy that first part, duplicate it, and instead we're going to change this into a death zone, right? So now, when we hit the death zone, we want to delete our player. Delete the object, just completely cook your toast. And then we're going to apply, like we could do a vignette if we wanted to. We could stop the music. There's quite a few things that we could do, but for now we're going to keep it very simple, and we're going to duplicate all 3 of these. And we're going to change the grassland win into grassland lose. And so we just need to upload that audio. Keep everything exactly the same. And then after 5 seconds, we're going to start the game scene over again. Now, eventually, we'll reload, we'll move your character back, rather than deleting it, to wherever you fell and died at, right? So, but we'll start there for now. Just leave that checkpoint in place. And hit OK. So now, let me turn on the sound for the game, and you'll be able to hear it. So if we die now in our game... Hello. Oh. I didn't put a trigger once on this one. Up here. So normally, what we would do is we would apply a vignette over your player, and a vignette is like a black outline or something, and it would show up and hide itself, or like it would show up and block your screen for a little while, and then it would fade away, and then you'd be able to see. And actually, I think that time delta here is actually breaking my system. Hold on 1 second. I think time delta is when we need to do it in frames, and I don't need to do it here because there we go. Okay, yeah, so time delta here. So what was happening? I understand what's happening. We don't want to do that. So when we do a wait timer, depending on what you're trying to do. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was just remembering we're multiplying by the frame count, so we're actually like decreasing the amount of time. So we need to, in this case, just wait the full time limit. You don't need to use time delta. My brain was elsewhere. So now... And I forgot to stop the music as well. So when we die, stop the music, because I don't want to keep hearing the game music. So normally we'd do fade to black, and then we'd fade back in when we loaded. And that's an easy feature that we could do. So for now, let's go back to the beginning. Let's run this whole level from start to finish and see how it feels before we add enemies. Because tomorrow we're going to add all of the enemies for our first level. And that'll be a great segue to end today. So let's move our player over here and let's get started. So from the very beginning of our level, we can't go any farther over here. Perfect. We jump on here. Okay, I'll have to look into what happened there. Wait. That's a new bug. That wasn't there before. We'll have to figure out what's going on there. Alright, we're going to keep running. Oh, and that's supposed to be on loop, too. My bad. And then these guys will be able to stand on and go down. Cool. There'll be another one here, which will just be for obstacle purposes, right? And then we'll come out of this one. So I'll change the color of the toasters. And have, like, some sort of creature or, like, flames come out of the toaster that burns you. So rather than, like, the piranha plant, it'll just be like a flame, because it's a toaster, right? Don't want to get burnt. And then I wonder why that happened. What happened there? What caused that block to break? It broke all the other blocks, so that's interesting. Huh. It must have just been... I think I know what's going on there, but I'll fix that later. By the way, do you guys notice the toast butt? Toast butt. Just for you. Toast butt. Alright. Good, 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 good. Okay, well, the black is in the wrong spot. But that's okay. We're going to move that real fast. And that was it. And it started all over. By golly, I think we've done it. We've done it, Jim. We've done it. I'm going to put this on layer 0. Yeah, it's not supposed to register like that with the way I've built it, but it had everything to do with bonking 2 blocks at once. And that's just because of a logic loop that I have that isn't anticipating you hitting 2 at once, so that's my own fault. But that's fine. Let's go back to the ending here to make sure that this works right. Right? Come on. Like, tell me that that didn't fit perfectly. All right. All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this part 2 journey. I'm really looking forward to finishing this up. Tomorrow, we're going to be diving in even deeper and building the AI state machines for our enemies. I know a lot of people have been pretty excited about this. So enemy finite state machines are going to be in tomorrow's video. And then we're going to start working on a couple days of art and preparing for the overworld journey. And I've got some art already prepared, but I want to make sure that before the game jam starts for Gdevelop, which is on the, I want to say it's the 14th or the 17th. The 17th through the 17th to like the 24th, 26th, something like that, is the game jam, Gdevelop's game jam number 5. And so I'm really looking forward to being a part of that jam. And before we get to before that comes live, I want to make sure that all of this is done for those that are interested. And potentially there might be a platform you want to build or something. So I want to get this template out. So, yeah, so tomorrow we're going to be doing the finite state machine, and then we're going to leave off tomorrow at the point where we build towards the overworld and starting to do the overworld stuff. Once we have that basic rudimentary stuff in, we can go back and start polishing and make sure that our first couple of levels, we'll build a couple of levels, are fully polished and all of the mechanics work, including time, score, and power-ups, if we get that far into some basic powers, picking up objects, running with them, maybe the springs to jump and bounce on, things like that. So definitely looking forward to the next step, and I thank you guys for joining. So remember, everyone, happy game making, and I'll see you in the next video.